the public. You need to submit a comment card, and you can submit that to staff. We're going to start, and then at about 2:05, we will stop collecting new comment cards. So. Well, good afternoon, everybody. We're here for Matters by the Public, and thank you all for being here this afternoon. This is your Board of County Commissioners, and we're always delighted to hear from members of the public. I just want to remind folks that you'll each receive 3 minutes to speak on whatever is on your mind, because that is what Matters by the Public is about. Just to be clear, we don't get into discussions during this period of time. This is our time, your time to speak, our time to listen. So you can expect that we'll be listening to what you have to say. At the end of our Matters by the Public, typically commissioners will, if they so desire, can make comments or will make comments. And if there's direction to be given to staff, that may happen at that time as well. So with that, the way it will work is Commissioner Marino, who is on my left, will be responsible for calling folks. And as you're coming up, and she'll call you in advance, appreciate if people can be ready at the other one microphone or the other, so that we can move along relatively quickly. And then Vice Mayor Sachs will be running the clock for us, and so we appreciate that. One other thing to note, this is still Board of County Commissioners, and so we don't have public displays going on during our meetings. So just appreciate if you can keep your phones silenced, if you can. And then any outbursts will be dealt with individually. So with that, I will turn this over to Commissioner Marino to start identifying who will be speaking to us.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one comment card that was asked to be read into the record. And dear Commissioner Marino and the Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners, as a rural residential property owner in Palm Beach County, and a member of the South Indian River Water Control District, also known as Sir Wicket Board of Supervisors, I am requesting that the following comments be included in the I am requesting that the following comments be included in the public record as part of the public comment portion of the January 10th County Commission meeting. First, I would say that I am a strong supporter of individual property rights. The overwhelming majority of my constituents, as well as my neighbors and myself, choose to live in a rural residential community that provides open space, limited traffic, and a quiet environment free from commercial elements typically associated with urban and suburban development. This lifestyle is only possible with protections provided by zoning and restrictions that exist to protect landowners from land use that would otherwise encroach upon and even destroy this lifestyle and property right. In order to protect our roads, drainage system, and open spaces, landowners and special districts such as Sir Wicket and the Indian Trail Improvement District rely upon code enforcement to ensure that the rights, privileges, and services provided by the county and those special districts are maintained. My hope is that the principles and underlying fabric of these protections and services, as carried out by code enforcement and the ordinances they implement, will not be weakened, either as a result of issues raised today or in the future. Thank you for your opportunity. John Meyer, Supervisor, Board of Supervisors, Sir Wicket. So then my first comment card will be from Matt Gitkin. Please take one of the podiums, and then Catherine Quinville, please take the other.
Waiting for them to come up, I just want to take a moment of personal privilege and recognize that we have Representative Rick Roth and Representative Peggy Gossett-Seidman in our chambers this afternoon.
Maria, you ready with the timer?
Ready when you are.
Okay. Mr. Gitkin?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Matthew Gitkin. I'm speaking for the Board of Directors for the Jupiter Farms Residents Association. Jupiter Farms is a community in the northwest area of unincorporated Palm Beach County. Jupiter Farms is composed of roughly 15 square miles of land. Properties in Jupiter Farms are designated by Palm Beach County Code as agricultural residential. Jupiter Farms is found within the boundaries of the South Indian River Water Control District, where most of the roads within the district are considered dirt or unsurfaced roads, roads without paths and without sidewalks, roads unsuitable for tractor trailers. Code enforcement helps to keep us safe and to keep our kids safe. Our community's elementary school has no path and it has no sidewalk. Ordinances keep our kids safe. According to the Jupiter Farms Neighborhood Plan adopted by Palm Beach County Commissioners by resolution in 1994, Jupiter Farms is an equestrian community. Horses on our dirt or unsurfaced roads, roads without paths or sidewalks, roads unsuitable for tractor trailers. Code ordinances keep our families safe. While we've lost track of the specific complaints other residences have brought forth regarding code enforcement, Jupiter Farms Residents Association has some historical perspective and would like to clarify positions that we've taken and continue to support. Storage of multiple vehicles on AR properties was a genuine issue of health and safety that was addressed many years ago. I'm not sure when this code was adjusted, but it was probably more than 15 years ago. Prior to that, we had several properties that were essentially junkyards in Jupiter Farms and became massive safety issues. Not only were they improper in an AR setting, but it was essential that this issue be dealt with, and many Jupiter farmers participated in those hearings. The changes were reasonable for the size of our properties and an area with agricultural residential zoning. And in fact, those code ordinances became safety ordinances and helped keep families safe. Most recently, there have been changes to the county's code regarding landscape services. These changes took several years and had ample opportunity for public involvement. And indeed, we had residents participate in all of the meetings. These changes protected the AR zoning areas from the institutional use of landscape services. It's clear, and it was clear at those meetings, that landscape services is not an agricultural use and does not belong as a primary use in AR zoning, and we continue to support that code. We support code structure that protects both the residential and agricultural characteristics of the rural tier zoning. These code structures should allow reasonable residential type uses and agricultural uses and maintain quality of life and safety. The issues we in Jupiter Farms have been facing is when the codes change and improvements that did not require a permit in the past are now being cited as a violation. This has occurred repeatedly, most often with fences and driveways. Jupiter Farms has been built since 1925, and while we don't have fences that are that old, we do have properties that were built over 30 years ago. We ask code enforcement alter their policies that property owners are not penalized for site improvements. Also, we do not support any wholesale embargo or zoning in progress of the county codes. Thank you for your time.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak. Welcome new members, and I'll get into it because 3 minutes goes fast. I had an opportunity to compare the Florida State election report to Palm Beach County's election report for the November 8th election. And kind of the word of the day is discrepancy. It's huge, brace yourself. There's a shortfall in Palm Beach County of 436,699 votes, different in the summary of all status types for the November 8th election. I have that report, I have everything for you. But the first question is, why don't the reports match? Line item by line item, they should. In fact, only one matched, and that was provisional not counted, and it was 30. Anyhow, I think this merits some exploration into uncharted territory, and one territory I've kind of researched is, do you think people know, or did you know, for instance, that you can't count, the machines can't count paper ballots in Palm Beach County? They are immediately digitized. On-day voters, their ballots, the minute they leave their hands, are digitized into a computer format. Do you know how complicated it is to process ballots in Palm Beach County? Did you know that the SOE's virtual tour shows a 9-step process to tabulate our ballots, but it's actually 10 because they omit the Runback Novus duplicator. Did you know, or do you think people know, that there's 2 certified electronic voting machines in Palm Beach County, but they run in conjunction with 11 non-certified machines to count our elections? And Maria Marino, Commissioner, did you know when you signed the voting system post-audit report that the report is based on 2 precincts, and we have 3,250, and it's not an accusatory thing, it's omissions that you don't necessarily realize that when these things are being qualified as okay, that maybe not so much when you're looking at a sampling from 2 out of 3,250. So math is irrefutable, math is fact, the math doesn't line up. The discrepancies do need exploration. Was there a manipulation of data? Was there errors? But why so much of a discrepancy? It's a huge one when you consider somebody like Dr. Salas Banionis, who lost by a margin of 400 votes. I mean, out of the 436,699, that last number means a lot to him. So why am I coming to you? Because Florida Statute 101.015 marries you in an odd number year with the Department of State, with the Division of Elections, with the SOE, and with you. You're all married. I have the statute printed up for you. Just to put your importance is here because this is an odd number year. That's when certifications are reviewed, standards, and this is the time. 2023 is an odd number year, and it's our opportunity right out the gate to get looking into this. I brought the state and Palm Beach County election reports, comparisons. I brought it. Can I hand it in?
Ma'am, yeah, you can, the clerk will take whatever you have for us.
Perfect.
But I need you to
I
conclude
did pass
your
my
comment.
3? Okay. I do have a solution in the paperwork as well, but
Thank you.
it does cut it down from 11 steps to 3. So simplicity. Anyways, thank you for your time.
I'm just asking everybody's indulgence, please. We're offering everybody 3 minutes, and it would appreciate if you can try and conclude your remarks as close to 3 minutes as possible. Try and provide a little bit of leeway for everybody, but if it keeps going too long, I will have to step in and ask you to wrap it up. So I appreciate if you can manage your time yourselves, though.
Next, we'll have John Fisher and Abel Diaz, followed by Sarah Spatola and Stian Oksavik.
Good afternoon, and welcome to our newest commissioner. The governor did well, very well. Thank you. My name is John Fisher. I live in western Boca Raton. I live in the community of Escondido. Escondido is on a stretch of Lyons Road just south of Glades Road, a very sharp S-turn that it's tucked right in the middle of with the community of the Timbers of Boca Raton. I am a retired paramedic fireman. I was the captain of the fire station that covered this stretch of road. And over my career, 27-year career, ran many car crashes in this section of Lyons Road. My partner, Jeanette, who was here at the last County Commission meeting a month ago, she could not be here today because she has an ear infection. At the last County Commission meeting, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we were told that in a week we'd have some sort of word report or something, and we haven't heard from anybody yet. Just to repeat what I said last time, I believe in the chain of command, and we went to our county commissioner first, and we had multiple meetings with staff, with our commissioner. Our commissioner asked us for letters. We got letters. She asked us for petition. We got petition. So this has been going on for quite a while now, and if you remember, staff advised at the last meeting a solution, and I think they coined it as the best solution, and that would be to shut down the intersection so that people coming out of Escondido would have to go north and hang a U-turn and come back. People in Timbers would have to go south, hang a U-turn, and go north. That was their solution. But, and here's what kind of screwed with my mind, in a rational, logical sense, they said that both communities would have to buy into this and agree to this to shut down that intersection. If you think about that, you're leaving it up to these two communities to make a decision like that if it's the best decision for safety, and you're counting out the thousands of other drivers from other communities, other counties, other states, other countries that are driving up and down Lyons Road. So that just didn't didn't sit well in my mind as far as logic goes. So there's that. Another factor here is GL Homes is building three new communities in that area. So the traffic load is going to increase considerably. I have ideas. I gave a few of them at the last meeting. If not a traffic light, that's the ultimate goal we would want. We're not a traffic light. If not a traffic light, a big traffic light pole that would hold flashing yellow lights over that intersection. A permanent radar signs, dropping the speed limit from 40 to 30. Guardrails. We got guardrails put up. I gave a letter to the commissioner back then, who has since passed away, God rest his soul. And we got the guardrails up. After the remodeling project, they didn't put the guardrails back up. So those are a few suggestions I have. And that's it. I'm right at the tail end. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Fisher, we have your solution. I'll meet you outside, give it to you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here to translate for Mr. Abel Diaz.
Sí, mi nombre es Abel Díaz.
Dímelo a mí.
Ok, mi nombre es Abel Díaz y vengo aquí por lo que nos está sucediendo y quiero la oportunidad que nos den una solución por lo que estamos pasando. Soy camionero, mi familia depende de mí y depende de mi negocio. ¿Ven?
All right, my name is Abel Diaz. I'm here to express my opinion. My family and my livelihood depends on myself and my business. I am a trucker and I live in the Loxahatchee area. ¿Algo más?
Que necesitamos, con la gracia de Dios, que nos ayuden y que tengamos la oportunidad de disfrutar con nuestra familia en el lugar que elegimos y que nos dieron la oportunidad de tenerla.
We would appreciate any help you can give us to keep my family, my home, and livelihood and stay living in our current home and current situation.
Y bueno, confío en Dios que ellos nos pueden ayudar.
God willing, I believe you can help us.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Sarah Spatola. As the immediate past president and current state officer of the Florida Nursery
Excuse me,
Growers-
Sarah, I want you to get your full 3 minutes. Let's wait for it to restart.
Ready? Okay. As the immediate past president and current state officer of the Florida Nursery Growers and Landscape Association, I am here on behalf of the nursery and landscape businesses that have been impacted by changes to Palm Beach County code enforcement. Many of the companies impacted by changes to Palm Beach County's code enforcement are small, hardworking, family-based businesses who are doing their part to be productive members of the community. Due to changes in code enforcement, these businesses have faced undue stress and economic hardship. And some multi-generational family businesses have even been forced to sell. The nursery and landscape industry is a small business industry with a big business impact on the economy. Here in Palm Beach County, nursery and landscape businesses generated $1.2 billion in sales in 2020. They provided 19,600 jobs. And those same businesses directly paid $13 million in county taxes. In addition to the economic benefits this industry provides, it is well documented that healthy, maintained landscapes produce oxygen, sequester carbon, increase property value, and lower crime rates. Commissioners, we are here today to request a temporary moratorium on Palm Beach County code enforcement for the issuance of violations and fines related to nursery and landscape operations until the county can schedule public workshops, review, and possibly amend sections of the Palm Beach County Code. We would welcome and appreciate the county's commitment to have staff and industry representatives sit down together and develop a workable solution to these enforcement issues. We believe that there is a path forward in which we can work together to achieve a mutually beneficial resolution. To do so, we respectfully ask that the nursery and landscape businesses have an opportunity to have their voices heard. Thank you.
I'm going to ask that you please refrain. We did allow some leeway this morning because we swore in a new commissioner, but we normally do not have displays going on within chambers. Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Stian Oksavic. I am a resident of Loxahatchee. I have lived out there for 9 years now. In that time, I have had neighbors with trucks. I have had neighbors with RVs and boats. This is not just commercial businesses, but this is people, or these are people who have moved out to the area to be able to enjoy a rural lifestyle. We have large properties. It's called the acreage because everybody has an acre or more. There's space to park trucks, there's space to park boats, there's space to park RVs. And up until recently, this did not seem, from my point of view at least, to be a problem. There was another member of the public who had mentioned that there had been hearings on our code enforcement statutes and that people had had an opportunity to, give their input into that process. As a resident and as a Palm Beach County voter, I had been unaware of any such efforts until recently. Perhaps that is on me for not getting sufficiently involved. But from where I'm standing, I see friends, I see neighbors who are hurting from code enforcement for problems that don't appear to be problems. There are people driving trucks on our roads, yes. They park them in their yard. They're not out, playing Jeopardy with children or anyone else in our communities. They obey the same speed limits, the same traffic regulations that all the rest of us do. I don't see a problem there. The same is true for people who pull a boat trailer, for people who have an RV or a motorhome, for people who run a business. A number of our residents do run businesses out of their homes. The acreage is sort of uniquely situated to be able to have a landscaping business, to grow produce, to grow plants that the rest of us use. I go to Publix and I buy groceries that have been brought in by truck. I go to my local nursery and I buy things for my yard. And from where I'm sitting, we have a county ordinance that is trying to be a one-size-fits-all solution for all of Palm Beach County, whereas out in the acreage, out in Loxahatchee where I live, this is trying to solve a problem that doesn't seem to be a problem. I would like to ask the commissioners to support a moratorium on code enforcement and give the community that I live in an opportunity to get code and zoning rules that would work for our unique situation. Thank you.
Right, I'm going to ask you again, and this will be the last time I do so in a nice manner. Please refrain. It slows us down. And if you continue on, I will ask the deputies to ask you to leave the premises. Thank you.
Next, I have Darren Arathopa, Ashley Davis, Keely Haverland, and Melissa Carici.
Good afternoon. My name is Darren Arathopa. I have a tropical plants nursery in Heritage Farms. I'm concerned that the nurseries are being driven out of Palm Beach, and I just would like to have clarity on the zoning so I can plan my business accordingly, that in AR zoning that growing operations are okay, and that the transportation that we need to deliver our products are also okay. It's really stressful to kind of have the growing operation and know if you can exist there in a year or 2 years or 3 years. So this clarity would really help me. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashley?
Hello, my name is Ashley Davis. I have a 3-acre horse farm in Loxahatchee that I purchased in 2016 called McBride Ridge LLC, where I train horses and board horses as well. I've had the agricultural exemption since 2016 when the property was purchased. In October of 2020, a code enforcement officer showed up at my house saying that an anonymous call with 18 violations was called on my farm, including my horse trailers, sheds that housed the feed for the horses, that my jump equipment was construction material and had to be removed, I had a farm truck and then also my dually truck, which is logoed for my farm. I have been 3 agonizing years fighting and trying to comply, and it was just one more roadblock after another. I've been through 4 different officers. I finally got my magistrate hearing in May of this year of 2022, and I was able to take the remaining 7 down to 3. But when I walked out, they told me I had to open storage on my porch, which was furniture for decoration, rocking chairs and a table. And it crushed me. I finally reached my breaking point. I put the property up for sale all summer long while pregnant. I had packed up the entire house, emptied it, got ready to sell, went under contract in Okeechobee on a larger facility so I could move my entire operation and expand it out there, just to have that completely pulled out from underneath me in August of this year, when the only potential buyer that I had did a street Google view of my property in which code enforcement was sitting in my driveway, and it killed the sale. So we're begging you as an agricultural property with the Right to Farm Act that there is a temporary memorandum to halt code enforcement, the harassment. There's an agricultural improvement permit that they are requiring all of us farms to have. It's a significant investment for me that I will never see a return on. It is a $6,000 to $9,000 investment, and there are 9 Palm Beach County survey companies that I have called to get this agricultural flood elevation survey is what they call it. The only company that will do it is out of Okeechobee. And I want to know why an Okeechobee County surveyor will do it, but not a Palm Beach County one, because I'm not in a flood zone. And I can't get anywhere. I have 6 calls in. My deadline was November 27th. I have 6 calls in to Ramsey Buckley's office, and I have yet to get an appointment with him, and he's the only one that can issue me an extension. So I'm accumulating $300 a day in fines as of right now, and I have no other choice due to COVID that I have to pour everything I have into that property, which is everything I've ever made, is poured into it. So training horses, you're not getting rich doing it. I work very hard, and at the end of the day, I'm absolutely exhausted. I cannot afford any more fees and fines and penalties. So I thank you for your time.
Keely? Keely Haviland?
My name is Keely Haverland. I serve as president of the Florida Nursery Grower and Landscape Association for Palm Beach chapter. I represent many of our members in the room, as well as the well-being of the nursery and landscape industry in Palm Beach County. Over the past 6 years, our industry has suffered immensely. Many businesses displaced or forced to sell, some still fighting for their lives today. I myself am a victim of Palm Beach County's attack on small businesses. My family's 3-generation Palm Beach County business is now owned by somebody else. I still wear my name on my shirt every day, but it no longer belongs to me. In fact, should I leave the company, I have a 5-year non-compete, and I cannot work in my industry in the state of Florida. For 3 years as a single woman running a business, I was surveilled by code enforcement vehicles, drones, private investigators, slapped with fines and a lien. Our business lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on engineers, land planners, attorneys, and many other expenses trying to come into compliance, which in the end was not an attainable goal. As I watch other businesses face the same intimidation and scare tactics, I realize that this was a targeted attack, not just on small businesses, but on those in rural areas that are the primary employers of minorities, almost all of which are under the direction of Ramsey Buckley. Many of our businesses are bona fide agricultural operations, and their state rights are being violated along with their private property rights. As if this wasn't enough punishment, many of us now face a potential overlay being placed on our properties in a few weeks from now. So now not only do we have to sell the land we can no longer use, but you're devaluing it and adding more regulations. Our county should be supporting and encouraging agriculture and horticulture operations. As it stands today, a young person has no shot in being a landscaper or a nursery grower in this county when they grow up unless they can afford a multi-million-dollar property. I'm here to ask you today to pause all code enforcement violations in AR and AGR pertaining to landscape and nursery services until the county can revisit the codes affecting these businesses. The legacy I was supposed to have was taken from me, And my new legacy is to help every landscaper and nursery grower displaced find a home in this county. Thank you.
Melissa?
Hello, my name is Melissa Creech, or Mel, but everybody knows me as the Worm Queen. In 2015, I won a grant through a program at FAU Tech Runway to establish a worm farming business. I was given $25,000 to work with the Palm Beach County Food Bank to compost their rotten food donations and turn it into a viable product that we could then work with farmers that donated these donations in order to close a loop on an unsustainable part of the current industry. While doing that work, I absolutely fell in love with what I was doing, and I established my business, Let It Rot. I established that business the same year that the Solid Waste Authority opened their billion-dollar waste-to-energy facility. Unbeknownst to me, they wrote a law that said, the Solid Waste Authority owns all the trash in Palm Beach County. In April of last year, I was served with my first of 7 cease and desist packages. I was told that the Solid Waste Authority, or the authority, owns all the organic waste that I used to feed my worms and that I'm stealing from them. I'm a small community compost business. I run the operation by myself with the help of my partner. This year, I bought my first place. I'm on 1.25 acres of agriculture land out in the acreage, and I'm unable to establish my business on my property, for which I've put everything that I have into due to the pursuit of the SWA. When I spoke with the representatives on the phone, I was told I have 2 options. I can leave the county or stop. I have poured my entire life into doing this. I dropped out of college in order to pursue my dream, and I have over 100 regular customers who absolutely love what I do and feel empowered because I give them the ability to compost their scraps, which is something they believe should be offered countywide. I'm here today to ask for a moratorium on all of the current enforcements that are being placed upon me and the rest of the agriculture workers in the county. We all work as a passion of labor. We do what we love and we do what we find rewarding, and we do something that adds a lot of value to this county. And I specifically am trying to innovate for the best of this county, something that we desperately need. Composting is a beautiful environmental innovation that in every other state, in a lot of other counties in Florida, is very, very progressively growing as an industry. I make worm castings, which is so valuable of a product. I have people constantly begging me to sell my business and move out of state and work for them. But I established this here to try to bring something to the people of this county that wasn't offered, and I'm standing here today to continue to do what I believe in. Thank you.
Thank you. Jorge Garcia, I apologize if I can't read your writing properly, on Royal Palm Beach Boulevard. Jason Pechtel, Oscar Montoya, and Bob Berman.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Jorge Garcia. I live in the acreage. I own 2 houses side by side. One's on the main street on the boulevard. The other one's on the side street of Mellow Court. That's 2 1.25 acre parcels. I've been in this area for 20 years, operating as a small businessman from that house. I have my business in the rear. I take care of the equestrian community in Wellington, in the acreage, Loxahatchee, and Jupiter Farms. And some of these changes that are happening would be detrimental to me and my family. I have 4 underage children and a wife that I support. And I wake up every morning at 5:30 in the morning. I load up a vehicle, I hook up a trailer, and I go out to work. And prior to that, I was living in downtown, what is Lake Worth Beach now, and I owned a motel on Federal Highway, and I had an empty lot next to it where I kept my vehicles and my tools. I was chased out of Lake Worth. I was chased out of living in an HOA in Coco Plum. I was told by the county inspectors and code enforcement that I needed to go to the acreage, that that's where blue-collar people were allowed to work and live and thrive, and I've been there for 20 years now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Oscar Montoya. I live in Loxahatchee area about for 20 years. I buy my house In 2014, I lived before with my father. We have a throw in that area. All the businesses, too many agriculture, that kind of business. We live happy over there. I got impatient in 2016 when in that moment they say we can have 2 commercial vehicles. I have in my property that impatient. I think we only ask to try to live how that was before. Right now, that get bigger, so many new neighbor in the area. That made a lot of traffic. That may maybe danger for our child over there, but not the trucker. The truckers and the business is for actually in that place we are the first person buy that lambs. The first person was over there, was agriculture person, was landscaping, was truckers. We are the first person in that area. And now he want basically get out from there. Basically, we basically see don't help us. We basically most of had to get out of business, feed our family. We need our help, please. Thank you. I'm sorry for my English. I try my best. Thank you so much.
You did well, thank you.
I'm Jason Pechtel. I live in Loxahatchee. My wife and I started out in Green Acres. I've been out there for 25 years. So prior to that, we lived in an area that we didn't want to live in. I have a company vehicle for almost the whole time I've lived out there, which will be considered illegal against the county ordinances. That's part of my salary. That's how I make a living. It's not a big truck. It's not tractor trailer. It's an F550 with a crane, welder, and compressor. I'm a heavy equipment mechanic. It's all I've known since I was 18 years old. And all I'm asking for is a moratorium on what I consider to be ridiculous ordinances. I have neighbors that are, well, one in particular, 3 years, or I'm sorry, is the third owner of the property. Right now is being fined for something the original owner did in the early 2000s. How is that right? I have another friend, not a neighbor, a friend, that's got problems, same kind of thing. When he first moved into his house, it looked like a derelict property. Cleaned it up. There was a shed on the property. He got fined for that. He didn't put it there. It had already been through all of the processes in order to build a house, title search, all the selling, buying. Is that right? We need to get rid of some of these ordinances. Nobody's hurting anybody out there. We have sugarcane trucks. I know most of y'all probably live east. You don't see sugarcane trucks. Once a year out there off 180th. I don't like the noise, but we all eat stuff that takes sugar in it. I got no problem with it. It's once a year. Rickety trucks coming up and down the road. It's part of it. I don't own a tractor trailer, but I support these people that do. I support these nursery people. Please put a moratorium on this for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Berman, then Peggy Gossett-Seidman, Leonard Serratore, and then Aaron Actis.
My name is Bob Berman. I live at 6731 Donald Ross Road in an area known as Palm Beach Country Estates. Palm Beach Country Estates is about a 2,000-acre subdivision comprised of about 1,500 lots. I was hired in the early 80s to help promote and sell the property in that area. It has never been developed, built, marketed, or sold for agricultural purposes. It's strictly residential. The first lot I sold in that area was sold for $6,000. If you wanted to buy that lot today, it's $600,000. I built homes in the 80s and 90s, sold those packages for $125,000, If you want to live in Palm Beach Country Estates today, you can buy one of those 30 or 40-year-old homes for about $800,000. If you want a new house, it's going to cost you $1.5 to $4 million. I'm here today because Palm Beach Country Estates is in the exurban tier, but zoned AR, agricultural residential. It is not in any way, shape, or form an agricultural community. It has developed with the caliber and size and structure of the homes that I described. You've heard from representatives from the South Indian River Water Control District. You've heard from people in the Jupiter Farms area. I'm not really familiar with the issue that some of the people are raising here about the landscape issue and the acreage. And very honestly, I'd be sympathetic to some of their concerns. What I'm here to do is just caution the commissioners on probably, one of the biggest responsibilities that you have, and that's in creating or enforcing laws, is the unintended consequences. So what I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but somewhere, somehow, somebody had proposed just a wholesale change to the AR zoning district to allow certain things that are currently and that have never been permitted. And I believe that something like that would adversely affect Palm Beach Country Estates, Jupiter Farms, the district that we operate in, which is South Indian River. So, I wish you the best. Try to come up with a solution for the people in the acreage. But when looking at those solutions, please don't create problems where they don't exist already. And that would include places like Palm Beach Country Estates. Thank you.
Peggy Gossett-Seidman, and then Leonard Serratore.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, commissioners. Congratulations to Commissioner Barnett. It's good to see everyone. I'm state rep from Boca Raton, Highland Beach, and western Palm Beach County, south of the Boca line. I am here to let you all know, well, gee, what does Peggy know about agriculture? Well, when I ran for state rep this past year, I actually called upon people, knocked at their doors of many, many workers who own and work in the ag areas and in the landscape areas and actually live in the city of Boca Raton or the surrounding communities. And what I heard at house after house, surprisingly, was about the problems I'm hearing about today here in the chambers. And that is that the truck parking, the agriculture interests are not being heard. And so I delved deeper into this issue, and I do see that many, many of their concerns in my district are actually, in my opinion, very valid. And I also go along with the idea that there be a moratorium on the code enforcement until such a time that this county commission and the interests can take a hard look at what is going on. I know that the county was greatly established by farming and different parts of agriculture, and we do not want to turn our back on our history. And how do we feed our people in the residents and in the tourism industry, the hotels, Boca Resort, the Breakers? These people who are growing and landscaping the area do serve all the people of the community, residents and visitors. One gentleman I spoke to provides something like 10% of all flowers at Disney World. And he said, I am facing possibly cutting down or closing my business and then moving out of county. You hate to hear that. These are good, solid people. These are hardworking people. So I do encourage the commission and the residents of the county and all districts to take a hard look at this. Put a moratorium and let's hear from all the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Leonard Serratore. I am a former county employee. I used to work for you at the Department of Airports for 20 years. I recently retired past July. I'm a disabled vet and a Republican. Each of you have been elected to serve the public and do right by them. I have emailed all you information regarding what I and many others felt to be dishonest, unethical, and blatantly wrong. I would like to read 2 paragraphs from the HR mission statement and the merit rules. Mission statement: to enable county departments to meet their service delivery responsibilities by hiring the most qualified employees, retaining value employees, by ensuring effective leadership, ensuring competitive wages, benefits, ensuring effective labor management relationships, providing training and development opportunities, and offering a safe and discrimination-free environment. This takes out of your merit rules from paragraph 107, page 10. No official employee or person may use or promise to use indirectly or directly any authority or influence to secure employment for any person or pay increase or influence the vote of any person or any related consideration action. There's another B paragraph that talks about discrimination, race, color, religion. I have had direct contact with Mac Bernard on this subject, and as of this date, nothing has been done to investigate the hiring and promoting practices within the county. Can you explain to me how someone can get promoted to Assistant Director of Electronic Services with no experience, qualifications, or education? Can you also explain to me how you can self-demote from an executive level position back to a merit rule position, keeping their executive salary? Executive positions only allow you to resign or be terminated. Do you not carry your executive salary to a merit rule position, another position that was not offered to the public or any other county employees? This is not in keeping with the merit rules or the mission statement. How do you hire a new employee and overlook the current fully capable employees that have been performing the duties of the position for many years? This new hire did not have the experience or expertise to train individual ops officers. She was a ticket agent. I have to have a pilot's license, 4-year or master's degree from a college, aviation management, and I also have to know all the FER rules. So I don't know how this person can do that. Can you explain to me how a real estate lawyer has the qualifications and experience to be given the position of airport director? Can you also explain to me how you give a director and a manager titles to employees who do not direct or manage anybody beneath them? I had 13 people under me. I wasn't a director. When hiring and promoting new current employees, according to the merit rules, friendship is not a qualification to obtain a position within the county. This has been brought to the attention of HR, the IG, ethics, as well as you commissioners, and nothing has been done. As a taxpayer and a former employee of the county, I am now safe from retaliation, and there was retaliation and retribution, so I had to hire an attorney, and I would like to know who will be investigating these incidents. You should be angered and disgusted by these acts. You, as leaders of the county, have a responsibility to make sure that it conducts itself with integrity and fairness. You owe it to the taxpayers as well as the county employee. It's your job. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Atkis, Claire Dougal, Jay Lehman.
Okay. Hello and Happy New Year to all our Palm Beach County City Commissioners, staff, deputies, my fellow residents. My name is Aaron Atkis. I proudly participated as a volunteer designee in public inspection of vote by mail signature matching as indicated in the Florida Statute 101.572 for candidates such as Melissa Martz, Jane Justice, Salas Bayones, as well as the Palm Beach Patriot and First Florida PACs. Several others who were represented by designees were Dan Franzese, Peter Arianis, Darlene Swaffer, and Christine Scott. Today, January 10th, 2023, I chose to speak before this governmental body to express my sincere concern and air several grievances in respect to the conduct and mismanagement of the current electoral process in regards to vote by mail. We were all interested in the state of our election integrity of vote by mail ballots being run out of the Equipment Center in Riviera Beach, Florida. This is where the tabulation and handling of all ballots occurs. Also, early voting, scantrons, UO-CAVA duplications, and canvassing board activities occur. Here, any member of the public may sit and observe and object when appropriate. The Palm Beach County Canvassing Board is made up of a judge, a commissioner, and the supervisor of elections, as well as the staff that makes recommendations to the motions at hand. Without public participation, this process becomes a rogue operation, in my opinion, subject to opinions, open to bias, and discrimination. My data shows that the majority of rejected ballots were over 80-year-old, and to the 110 was the oldest, and less than 25-year-olds. As a 20-year-old professional in dental hygiene, I made a pledge to do no harm to my patients, and I expect the same from our elected and selected public servants. As a new subject is being learned, many questions are expected to follow. Having observed the March Municipal 2022 election and the Canvassing Board as a designee in public inspection, the project was The project was relayed to Ms. Link and the commissioners and sheriff with little to no cooperation. There are a few barriers that prevented the public from being part of this experience. First, access was a huge obstacle. The scheduling system and the staff was very unresponsive. The outcome was a loss of 25% of available public inspections. Also, there were volunteers who were actually turned away because of minor mistakes, including a wrong middle initial. Second, the education of the staff, the deputies, was not substantially effective, and we were also accused of breaking laws that were not correctly relayed. There's many more for me to cover, and on 3 minutes is not enough. So I appreciate your time, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Next will be Claire Dugal, and then Jay Lehman, followed by Katie Reinholtz and Matt Reinholtz.
Good afternoon to the Board of Commissioners and distinguished guests, and to our citizens. My name is Claire Dugal. I'm from the Loxahatchee area. My husband and myself and 5 children, we've lived there in a few short weeks. That will make us live in there 22 years. We purchased our property for the main reason to work and live as a trucker. That's our only source of living. I am a medical assistant. I went back to reward myself after raising children, but my business need me along with my husband. I speak here today with one voice. We're asking for a moratorium, for new codes to be written. We are the truckers. I speak with one voice, and also for the landscapers and the agricultural people. Loxahatchee, it's a unique community with diverse people. We do different things for our living. My personal source of living is from the trucking. We're in trucking for 28 years, and it's a legacy I would love to leave to my children. We are the truckers who help to build these roads. We haul the rock, the sand. We haul the material, the sand, the rock, to build these houses. Some of these places, our company is small business because we have to do the papers as the law requires. We help to build the park, build the school, the supermarket, and we feel very used because we are the people who help to build this community and we live there. And since recently, for the last 3 years, the harassment, the fines, and we're just asking to be able to park our vehicle on our property and to use our property. We are law-abiding citizens, taxpayers, and it is hard. It's a hard job. The truckers, they transport food, water, building material. They help to be productive citizens. So I'm here today to ask for, with the other people, the moratorium, for it to be granted, please, to stop the harassment, the parking, the fees, the daily fines. Like I said, we choose that area, some 22 years, soon be, just to have that quality of life. It's a peaceful community, and we contribute in doing so. I have been there that long and not really having issues with anyone complaining until my neighbor complained about bushes that I trim, rose bushes, and that's what started the issue. There was never a problem with the county or code enforcement with me personally, so I thank you.
Thank you. We can take both microphones. Mr. Lehman, or Jay Lehman?
Hi, I'm Jamie Lehman.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon. Recently, I had the occasion to see what went on at the Supervisor of Elections office, the warehouse in Riviera Beach during the primary and the general. And I have some concerns. Unfortunately, it's very sad to say it looks like a criminal enterprise. And I think, as I understand it, you fund that office, and I think, in my opinion, the funding should be stopped until things can turn around. Some of the things I observed or experienced was we came here and we asked Wendy Link for live streaming to keep things honest and above board and allow for citizen oversight. That was refused. She flat out told us that that will never happen. So I asked for video footage of the primary. She sent me an estimate of over $6,000 for me to have public records. I told her that was unaffordable and that I'd like to hire my own tech person to come in. It's my right to copy the video myself, and she refuses to grant me an appointment. This has been months, well, that was, August, and she still refuses to grant me an appointment. This is unlawful. It appears that she may be using a temporary agency to hire temp employees that is very, if I'm correct, in this company, and I did some research, and if I'm correct, it's a very nefarious situation, and that should cease and desist immediately. I do not understand why our Palm Beach County Clerk of the Court, Joe Abruzzo, does not have our cast vote records. I believe that is his duty to have them and to audit them. His office declares they do not have them, and I have it on video. We observed duplication of ballots that were performed with no canvassing board member present. There was no oversight. Staff members were actually making decisions regarding voter intent. That is not okay. That's not lawful, to my understanding. Our early voting sites were stacked with express voting machines that were designed statutorily, mandated for disabled voters. They were not. Then those ballots, people walked into those sites and they were under the assumption that they had no other option for voting. Then those very different ballots were concealed at Wendy Link's warehouse. They were hidden from public view, completely obstructed, and nobody saw those ballots being processed.
Ma'am, can I ask you to wrap up your comments?
Yes. Lastly, I'd like, since Kathy Quinville mentioned that this year is the year
Ma'am,
for you.
I need you to wrap up.
I'd like you to know that Governor DeSantis, Attorney General Ashley Moody, CFO Jimmy Patronis, all certified their own elections, and that is unlawful.
Ma'am, your time is ended. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Katie Reinholz, and I'm the current state representative for FNGLA. I am also a Palm Beach County farmer. My family has 150 years in farming, and I have my own farm in Jupiter. As the state representative, I am here in support of the many landowners that are being faced with imposed adversity by Palm Beach County planning, building, zoning, and code enforcement. We all know that land is scarce, values are high. Increasing the tax base kind of no matter what seems to be the goal of many Palm Beach County divisions. As a result, countless landowners are under attack, including me. State laws are being ignored and owners are being tricked, lied to, harassed, and even pushed out unlawfully by Palm Beach County code enforcement and planning zoning. This is not okay. We have public records that document Executive Director Ramsey Bulkley instructing misuse of force, blatant non-disclosure, and duplication of government. It is very important for the Board of County Commissioners to realize that your name is at the top of all of this bogus paperwork. This presents a massive liability. I hope you all will carefully consider this moratorium as the state works to better understand the victims' claims and reach a fair solution.
Thank you for your attention.
Hello, Matt Reinholz. I'm here to represent, as a board member, Farm Bureau, Palm Beach County. I echo the same grievances that FNGLA does. We have the same stories. Our agricultural community is under assault. Code enforcement from the phone calls has been weaponized under the current director, and the heavy-handed surveillance and intimidation tactics, and I would say behind closed doors agreements that have been persuaded upon agricultural producers is something that I would say I've only witnessed in a Netflix episode. So the thoughts of suicide from farmers that I take phone calls from is real. The fines and the businesses being run out is real. We have many layers of this onion to unravel, and the data will paint a very, very dark picture on this county. And it needs to change, and we need to put it on the table and have an honest and open conversation about it. And that's the only way we're going to get through it. And I appreciate all you listen to us. And one more thought. It seems to be a very consistent pattern with everybody's stories when you talk to them. There's definitely a playbook against all these agricultural producers. That playbook has now spread to our partners from Farm Bureau to Miami-Dade County. We can only assume that Robert Santos, being now employed down there, has implemented those same tactics to Miami-Dade. We're very much in communication with our members in Miami-Dade, and we're organizing to have a conversation, not only with their commission, but with Palm Beach County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jennifer Brashear, I'm going to say this wrong, I apologize. Noor Saleh, and then Representative Rick Roth. Please use both microphones.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Brashear. I am 46 years old. I've lived in this county since I was 16 years old, so most of my life here in Palm Beach County. I own property. I own 5 acres out west in the area of Calusa off of Beeline Highway. I, unlike all these other people sitting in this room, am not financially tied to these issues, nor do I have a dog in the fight. But I want to tell you, in my 20 years, let me tell you, I'm a retired police detective from a local city government, and I've been a very big follower of our local government. I believe in our local government. We need them, and we need to have rules, and we need to have regulations. But I'll tell you, for 30 years, I've been a proud member, resident of Palm Beach County, and I'm no longer in some areas. Do I love living here? Yes, I do. But we need your help. And again, I said I have no dog in this fight, but I've watched friends be victimized by Palm Beach County and its unlimited resources. I'll tell you, I've been told those words several times talking to people. When I first started making phone calls on behalf of my friends who have been misuse of resources with surveillance, bullying, receiving phone calls late at night from drunken officials here telling me to change my ways, I'm no longer proud of what we do in Palm Beach County. My family relies, and now I've met the truckers, I've met a lot of farmers, and to hear that we need them and their services. What would happen if every truck driver said, we're not driving to Palm Beach County. We can't live there, you're not in our map. We're in trouble. What are we gonna do if every farmer says, we're moving out of Palm Beach County, drive somewhere else to get what you need? We're gonna be in trouble. That's an issue you guys have. I didn't write a speech today. I'm talking to you from the heart. I've always been a person, as a detective, I fought for victims, and I'm telling you right now, sitting in front of me, sitting in front of you, you guys have victims. You have victims sitting in front of you, and they're victims from what our county has done to them. We say, I hear it over and over, they've lost their properties, they've lost their businesses because they run out of finances and the county has unlimited. The county doesn't have unlimited. That's what money we're putting in. We don't have unlimited. Me as a resident is paying for you guys, not you, I'm sorry, for the county to harass them. I'm asking you guys to listen to them. Thank you.
Mr. Salih, did I pronounce that right? Salih?
Try your hardest. Saleh.
Salih?
Welcome, commissioners and everybody else. I'm here to represent all the victims. I live in the acreage, and we really need to support truck drivers. We all have this similar desire. We all have similarities like desires. We have our favorite foods that we like, drinks, attire, you name it, cars. Everything that we need that is a necessity, we depend on truck drivers. Look where we started with the donkey and the carriage, and then look at what we got. Efficiency. We got trucks. We move equipment. We move food. We move medicine. We're aiding so much. At the end of the day, if there's somebody who complained about a neighbor that had a truck or a landscaping trailer just trying to make their livelihoods, well, everybody should be heard. I agree with that. Equality. We all deserve equality. 4 things that make every man and woman happy, all right? Righteous wife or husband. A righteous neighbor. Somebody gonna look out for you when you're on vacation, you know? It's good to have a good neighbor looking out for your back versus a bad one where you gotta call 911 all the time, where you gotta watch your kids 9 to 7 when they're playing outside, right? Righteous neighbor. A spacious house to invite your guests. Number 3. Number 4, a good riding beast. What's that riding beast now? We went from using donkeys and horses, now we got vehicles. Who delivered these vehicles to our houses, to the dealerships? The food, the medicine. If it wasn't an airplane, it was definitely the truck. 90%, if not more, of all the products that we possibly need to keep our little wheels rolling every day, coming on trucks. So at the end of the day, is it right for me to tell you, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to disrespect anybody, I don't want to offend anybody. I love everybody, including enemies, because enemies have rights. It's part of life. You have to treat everybody as you want to be treated. If you don't love yourself, how are you going to love others? So I'm here to ask for a moratorium. Please, deep down, just try to put yourself in these truck drivers, in these people who are the working class. Put yourself in their shoes, just like I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. I hear your complaints. Like, I don't see it, I don't see the script, but I know you guys getting complaints. From who? New residents that just came in? They have more rights to the people who have, what, seniority over 30, 40 years of paying property tax? Because he parked his truck on his driveway. Man, I don't like the way it looks. I'm gonna call the county, complaint. Does that seem right?
Sir, can I?
Thank you for bringing my toothbrush today. Thank you for
Sir,
bringing
can
my
I ask
technology.
you to please wrap up?
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes, and all I ask is you try to put yourself in everybody's shoes who's been violated, everybody who's been a victim.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. Representative Roth, followed by Neil Schiller, Jesse Walters, and Renee Hamilton.
Well, good afternoon, Commissioners, Palm Beach County staff, and Palm Beach County residents. And Commissioner Barnett, I will give you a shout out. Thank you very much. I am State Representative Rick Roth. I'm here on behalf of many, many residents that I have talked to and met with over the last 7 months. People have had very serious issues with Palm Beach County code enforcement who sometimes employ extreme measures, including intimidation, harassment, collusion, and surveillance to force residents to spend unnecessary additional time and money to reach compliance. I say it should never take a year for residents to be issued a permit or a variance or whatever they need. We are here today to ask for relief. Yes, we are. Landowners in eastern Palm Beach County who use their property to sustain their businesses are being forced off of their land by actions that are anti-agriculture and anti-business by their own county government. We do request a moratorium on the issuance of violations and fines related to nursery and landscape operations, bona fide ag producers, and residents using their property to park commercial and recreational vehicles in these ag reserve and ag residential areas. We do respectfully request that the Board of County Commissioners instruct the Palm Beach County Code Enforcement to stop accruing fines on notice of violations that are already cited. We believe that this Board of County Commissioners should send a clear signal to Palm Beach County Code Enforcement and the people here that residents need to be heard and they need more time to be able to solve these problems. So we are asking that in the future that the board can schedule a public workshop, can have hearings to be heard, and also to investigate some of these egregious actions by Palm Beach County Code Enforcement, and review and possibly amend sections of the Palm Beach County Code that have been changed since 2017, affecting those represented here today. These changes are clearly targeting agriculture and residents using their properties to sustain their businesses. So I have documents that I will share, I've already given to the clerk to give to you. The last item on the list, I want you to look at it. It is my request for answers to questions following a meeting that I had with Palm Beach County Code Enforcement on August the 16th. I have reached out to them by email several times, and they still have failed to give me a reply. So I'll end by saying this. I have talked to the staff, I have talked to commissioners. I believe we all have the same goals, and I ask you for your careful consideration of these critically important issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Baxter.
I just wanted to thank Representative Roth for his comments. And just to let everyone here know, I have asked about zoning in progress and a moratorium, and I'd like to refer to our county attorney that says what we can and cannot legally do.
We really don't have any way to do a zoning in progress or a moratorium until a decision is made by the board on what it is they want to do. They will have to decide on the zoning and make that decision, and at that point, then we can do a moratorium and we can move forward to amend the code while the moratorium is in place. But they have to make the decision first on what changes they want to make to the code and instruct staff to go forward.
Thank you. Neil Schiller, then Jesse Walters, then Renee Hamilton, then Carla Little Griffiths.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Commissioners. Welcome, Commissioner Barnett. Heck of a first meeting. And I look forward to working with you as well as Commissioner Woodward and Commissioner Baxter in the future. So my name is Neil Schiller. I am with Government Law Group, 137 Northwest 1st Avenue. I'm here today representing Palm Beach Country Estates Landowners Association. And as Bob Berman told you, we are 1,500 homes with AR zoning in the ex-urban service area. And we're asking you today to please keep our little section or large section of AR in the, or agricultural residential, please keep that residential. We were here before you, some of you, 2 years ago when two commercial treatment facilities came into our neighborhood and petitioned to open in our neighborhood. And the neighborhood came together and we've, with your help, fought those residential or commercial treatment facilities and stopped them from coming into our neighborhood. And the primary reason is because we didn't want commercial facilities in our neighborhood. And we are scared about the prospect of semi-tractor trailers being parked in our neighborhood when they're not parked there now. We're not having this problem now because we worry about a moratorium or a potential change to the zoning district that would allow that in the future. And again, the permitted uses in AR are congregate living facilities, single-family home, agricultural storage, only when the property is primarily used for agriculture. Community vegetable garden and shade house. Those are the only permitted uses in agricultural residential in the ex-urban service area. And we ask that you continue to protect those as you've done in the as you've done in the past. And we thank you and continue to look forward to working with all of you to ensure that, again, property values remain high and that people are allowed to pursue their interests. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jesse Walters. I live at 2939 Hope Valley Street, West Palm Beach. I came before you in October, and I came before you in November regarding the median strip on Jog Road between Okeechobee and Vista Parkway North. And I'm just getting more and more frustrated about why there's no activity going on, why I can't get a date from county government about when it's going to be fixed. Right now, there are piles of gravel there. There are hundreds of pieces of rebar sticking up from the median. There are little flags with little sticks with plastic flags on them. There's trash. There's weeds that are 2 or 3 feet high. It's really ugly looking, and I don't understand why county government can't clean it up, or whatever agency is responsible for it, why they're not forced to do so from a code compliance standpoint. So, beseeching you, perhaps Ms. Baker's office, someone could reach out to me and tell me a date of completion, but I just wanted to, unfortunately for the third time, express the frustration of me and my neighbors regarding this. Thank you.
Renee Hamilton?
Hi, I'm Renee Hamilton. I live off of Temple Boulevard in Loxahatchee. And I just wanted to make a few comments today. I hear that people that are talking about that country estate and that they're an ex-urban area. And we are an ag residential area and we are a rural area. And I think that the regulations that would apply to us would be somewhat different than them, as we are certainly a rural residential, not an ex-urban residential area. One of the things that I have noted in looking at some of the regulations and trying to research what's going on in our area, and I've been there for 25 years, is that I always see in every one of the regulations that it says part of your requirement is to keep the area consistent as it is environmentally and for the same nature for the residents as it's been. But what you've done is impose laws and regulations on us that really doesn't comply with how we've been out there historically. We're not a city. We don't want to be a city. We shouldn't have city regulations. In fact, some of the regulations that we have out there in unincorporated areas are much stricter than some of the regulations in the surrounding cities like Royal Palm. They're allowed to have things in their driveway that we can't even have in our driveway out there in Loxahatchee, which is just totally ludicrous. So I'm here to hopefully help support all of these people who have trucks, who have businesses, landscapers, nurseries, and that are just fighting the fight to have their rights, to have their property and their way of life as they've had, and not allow and ask you to not allow continued changes and exceptions to occur and amendments to occur to the regulations as they were, which suited the way we lived out there. If you go back 20 years, the regulations worked. There are exceptions that have been removed, there are clauses that have been removed, there are amendments that you have made that have changed the way of life for people out there. And every one of your ordinances and codes says that your goal is to not change the way of life for the people in the rural areas, yet that's exactly what you're doing. So hopefully you can hear us and help us and try and put back what we had the way that we had it, and buy us some time to figure out what we can do that suits everybody. You put a city, Westlake, in the middle of a rural area, and it's got 0 lot line housing. How can that be okay? How did you let that happen, and yet you're turning around and harassing those people who've lived out there for 20, 30 years? Westlake's not even been there 10 years, and they have more rights than we do. We need you to help us. Keep rural, rural. Don't put cities out there where we're at. Please help us.
Carla Little Griffiths, Ricardo Alonso, and Arian Fernandez.
Good afternoon to the commissioners, distinguished guests, and the general public. My name is Carla Little Griffiths, the wife of Mark Griffiths. He is a trucker. We bought our house about 3 years ago in the acreage because of the space to park our trucks. I'm speaking on his behalf and other truckers. Today, I humbly request the commissioners to vote for a moratorium for the code and the fines on the truckers. We have 2 trucks and 2 trailers. We park them both on our property. Actually, when we moved in, we paid to get a permit to build another driveway. We explained to the Indian Trails District that that's what the purpose of the permit was, to build a driveway to park the trucks on our property. And what we're confused about, if it was against codes at that time, 3 years ago, why didn't they inform us at that time? My husband is the breadwinner of our family. If a moratorium is not granted, he will be forced to sell all the trucks, thus leaving our family in a financial hardship. He does not have any other skills. Trucking is all he knows. We have 2 teenage sons who have friends in the acreage, and they love their high school. So we'll be forced to sell the trucks, and eventually we won't be able to financially survive. So then we'll probably have to sell, uproot the kids, and with all these different things going on, mental health, if you have kids that's thriving, that's doing well in a situation, why uproot them if you don't have to? I'm also asking the commissioners, in conclusion, I'm asking you guys to please try and seek a committee of representatives on behalf of the truckers and non-representatives of the truckers, just regular community leaders that don't have any ties, and work with them to come up with an appropriate, reasonable code or something that we can do to make it be fair for all parties involved. Also, I want to leave you guys with this statement. I heard this statement and it just stuck with me. It says, if you got it, a trucker brought it. And that's just basically it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Alonso. I live in Loxahatchee area for like 10 years. We purchased my home to have my truck inside of my property around beginning in 2019. My problem started with a complaint about my chicken. According to code enforcement, I cannot have any building for my chicken, so I get rid of my chicken, but I'm still fighting for my truck. At that time, the code enforcement told me that beginning 2019, we were allowed to have 2 trucks. But then the code ordinance changed in 2019, and we are no longer allowed to have it. We've been harassed by code enforcement. Code enforcement tells us liar. One day after a commissioner meeting finished right there, we were with Oscar. Rossi Buckley told me on my face that he's going to make sure he get all the trucks out of Loxahatchee. Another thing is that we need you guys to stop. We have people fined with different, they treat like code enforcement treat everybody different. We have people here paying $50 a day, $300 a day, like different fines. Why, if we pay the fine, why we can have the truck? Another thing is that on the last meeting, they tell us that they don't have any problem with recreational vehicle. We have people here with recreational vehicle problem. They are trying to, every time we came here, the commissioners are trying to divide us. Please, help us stop forcing people. People are getting out of business. In my case, if I have to leave out of Loxahatchee, I'm going to be out of business. I have 2 kids at home that I have to survive. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm translating on behalf of Yadian Fernandez.
Ya, dile que yo estoy aquí porque yo tengo un negocio de trozo y quisiera que nos ayudaran.
I'm here today in front of you because I am a trucker, I am self-employed, and I need your help. I'm asking for time, I'm asking for thought. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you, for your consideration.
Thank you. Nikki Brown, Candace Rojas, Etnier Rodriguez, and I believe this says Andrew Hanna. You can use both microphones. Someone come up? If we're out of order, it's okay.
Hello. My name is Candace Rojas, and I'm the chairman of Palm Beach Patriots PAC. Our mission is to promote America First politicians and policies. We believe in faith, family, freedom, and fair elections. During the 2022 election process, a team of our grassroots volunteers had the pleasure of spending over a month or more at the Palm Beach Supervisor of Elections Tabulation Department in Riviera Beach. At that time, we watched the various phases of processing the ballots, including verifying signatures from mail-in votes, and then at the canvassing board and observing the duplicator machines and the employees who worked them. We also watched the movie 2,000 Mules expose that many instances of ballot harvesting through mail-in ballots throughout the nation. We know that Governor DeSantis has enforced SB 60 to prevent this problem, but we have not heard of any updates. After my personal observation at the SOE, it is evident to me that the Novus run-back duplicator machines purchased with Zuckerbucks are questionable and should be removed completely. I watched the duplicator machines make an error for at least 90% of the time, and then it requires an employee to switch the vote back to the originally intended vote. So it seems pointless to have a duplicator machine that doesn't actually duplicate and requires human person to switch it back. And there are many published reports that have shown that the duplicator machines used throughout the country have an Easter egg component, which is a military spec software to change those votes. So we are asking at least transparency or updates from our governor, from this board. We wanted the 24-hour cameras that were live streaming, but they were denied. And we just can't have this again in future voting. So we are hoping that one day we will have hand ballots, no machines, no duplicator machines with ID required, hand counting all ballots. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who votes. It matters who counts the votes. Thank you.
Thanks to the commissioners for your time and patience. I am Andy Rodriguez. I also live on Loxahatchee area. And I would like to tell you that I am worried about what's going on because I moved to the area because a few reasons that you already know because everybody is telling about the same. I'm the father of 3 children, and I came to this country to do everything right, to fight, to work, to have a better life, and I'm grateful that I'm having that on this beautiful country. But according to what's going on this area, it is not what I'm supposed to be seeing. Because I came to this country to have liberty, to have freedom, to fight for what I want, for my family, for my neighbors even. And someone is not allowing to do what we are supposed to do. And when I became a citizen of this country, I raised my hand by doing and promising all those things, and I'm not getting that. So I'm here to say, please hear our voices. There is many people down there on the acreages that does not know what's going on because they are not having a real problem, actually. But if you count everybody's opinion, then you'll see a big, huge problem on the area. And why someone does not want to keep the way it was? Truckers, I'm a truck driver. That's the way I get my support for my family, and I'm willing to pay taxes. I'm willing to accomplish with everything I'm supposed to, according to the state, to the county. And why, if I'm paying taxes for my property, my land, I will not be able to use it for my family to be worthy, to be good for my future and my family future. So I would like to consider the majority voices on the area and not a few complaints, probably, because everybody can get a house or an apartment on any other area of the county, but many of us are moving to the area on the past years because the natural and the big of the area, the land that we can use, and some other things. Everybody, as the other guy says, is using water, any kind of material to build up the city, or even food for our family on our tables, and nobody's taking care of the truckers. I mean, we're paying road taxes, we're paying everything that we're supposed to, and we are not being hearing from the county. So thanks for your time and patience, like I said.
Thank you. Andrew Hanna, followed by Linda Smith, and then Brandon Balk.
Okay, if I go out of order. I'd like to welcome the new commissioners. Welcome. I support the idea of the moratorium.
Your name, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Brandon Balch. I am on the Palm Beach County's Florida Nursery and Landscape Association. I was around in 2017 when we did start negotiations with the subcommittee for our industry and the land use issues, and dealt with the subcommittee probably for a year and a half. Talked to staff, the land planners. Seemed like we were going to get some favorable interpretations, but then once it kind of got up to the county commissioner level, there were no favorable interpretations. It was a hammer and a nail, and we were the nail. Sarah spoke on some of the dollar values and employees that the nursery and landscape industry are just in this county. Is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We're probably 3 to 4% of the workforce in this county, just based on the numbers of the employees of this county. To put that in perspective, Florida is only second to California, even though we have a third the land and half the population, and it's very, very close. Palm Beach County is the largest landscape county in the state of Florida by far. It's way bigger than Broward and Dade landscape, where they have much more population. It's because these big HOAs are built, and those plants have to come from somewhere. Somebody has to take care of those HOAs and all the homes on those properties. It doesn't just happen. There's a whole industry that does that, and we're here. And I would say it's fair to say that Palm Beach County is probably one of the largest counties in the country as far as landscaping. If you take it's the largest county by far in the state of Florida. Florida is one of the biggest horticulture states in the country. It's probably the largest landscaping county in the country. And it's beautiful. We need to keep it that way. So in 2017, we had the subcommittee meetings went on for about a year and a half, met with staff, got up to the county commissioner, didn't go right. I think things changed in 2020, some of the ordinances, and I've watched guys and girls tell me how it's been a moving target. Things have changed in mid-process. Do this, spend this kind of money, you'll get approved, you don't get approved. I've heard staff say that they've bent over backwards for us. Well, if you considered spending 6 or 7 years in a meat grinder and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars bending over backwards, then I guess they did. So, and with your current requirements, it's very difficult, except for the largest of companies, to be able to afford or to comply. Most people are dropping out, selling, they're doing whatever they have to do. So I just would encourage you to relook at this and revisit this and try to, we're a very important industry to this county. We'd like to be treated as such and not like the low-hanging fruit.
I ask you to please
Okay,
wrap up.
and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
Hello. Very impressive matters by the public. This is quite the crowd. 3 minutes, so much to say, so little time. Linda Smith, Jupiter, Florida. I want to again welcome the new commissioners, and also a special welcome to the newest of new commissioners, Commissioner Barnett. I wish Commissioner Kerner the best. Maybe he can help us get more electric vehicle charging stations and Palm Tran buses. Staying tuned to the Tuesday, February 28th, 10:30 workshop on electric vehicle policies for county-owned buildings. Yes. Thank you. I received a copy of the Commissioner's letter to the FWC on behalf of the Bush Wildlife Sanctuary regarding funding. The Sierra Club Board and individual members have also mailed letters to Eric Sutton and have also mailed individuals, state representatives, subsequent copies of the letter. Please keep Bush Wildlife on your financial wish list. They are a wonderful facility. Consider a naming opportunity for commissioners for a pavilion or trees like we did. And on the upcoming businesses, I have provided each of you copies of a December 29th Palm Beach Post article, Preserve Palm Beach County's Open Farmland, for your consideration. There are numerous privately initiated text amendments in various stages of approval coming your way, which I can try to speak against, but I'm kind of a lone wolf until today. I don't know. As you know, private individual text amendments financially benefit the applicant. I receive no benefit from attending and listening and speaking and learning at these meetings, but I will try to attend as many as I can. I do not make a financial profit when I speak to you about private text amendments for zoning codes, but others do. Please try to take note of the difference. I will be at the Planning Commission on Friday. I will see you at the March 28th workshop at 9:30 on the Ag Reserve. I look forward to information on the Ag Reserve. I did receive a small email today. I haven't had a chance to review it. Thank you very much. On information on the Ag Reserve workshop. And on that same day at 1 o'clock is the Brookside workshop, so I'm gonna pack a lunch. Because workforce housing seems to be an incentive to even consider these private text amendments, I will also see you on the Tuesday, January 31st, 9:30 workshop, Density and Workforce Housing. And thank you for all of your time putting up with all of this, and I hope you will consider not approving some of these text amendments to our zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last 4 cards, I will call Andrew Hanna again, Dirk Baumeier, Nikki Brown again, and Stephen Grant. Nikki's gone. Okay.
Hello, my name is Dirk Baumeier. I live out in Loxahatchee. And it's not only the weird codes they have, it's the way, it's who it administers them too. They're not right. They know that they're on the take. I think they're on the take. You can get one guy to come out, a code enforcement officer. He'll tell you one thing, and if you could get somebody out the next day, a different one, he'd tell you something different. He'd tell you okay. The other guys would tell you no, you can't do it. We need to change how the codes are. We need to change who administers the code, Because the code's not going to work if who you have ministers not going to be legal and right with everybody. Everybody's got to be treated the same, and it's not happening. One guy will be treated a whole lot different than this guy. And it's a proven fact. You hear all these horror stories, and this is why you guys need to do something. You're hearing these horror stories. These people are crying, talking about committing suicide. That's no good. This is not Palm Beach. I moved here 30 years ago. It wasn't like this. Now it's like this. Now I'm angered. I'm really angered. Maybe it's because you guys. Maybe you guys started it. Or maybe it's above you, maybe below you. But it got to be fixed. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay, one more call for Andrew Hanna and Stephen Grant.
Hello.
Hello there. Long time no see.
Yes.
Ex-mayor.
Hi.
Oh, once a mayor, always a mayor.
Yes, thank you. So, hello, Stephen B. Grant, on behalf of the Jewish Volunteer Ambulance Corps, also known as JVAC. We are here to let you know what's going on since a year for the allowance of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to allow them to serve the Jewish community here in Palm Beach County, and let you know that we are looking to expand in the Palm Beach County. And so we have here awards to the county commission because of your dedication and in saving lives. The Steve Zackheim Tree of Life Award, who is a paramedic for during 9/11 that passed away because of complications. And so this is something that I'm here with the President, Isaac Hirsch, to say that we want to thank you. We want to introduce ourselves to the new county commissioners, and we look forward to having a great partnership with Palm Beach County today and in the future. And so,
Thank you, Stephen. Just to say a couple of words, my name is Isaac Hirsch. I'm the president of JVAC, the Jewish Volunteer Ambulance Corps. It is because of this very board here, Mayor Weiss, Commissioner Sachs, Commissioner Marino, and all the other commissioners and folks here, with the continued support of the new commissioners as well, that we're able to do what we do and save hundreds of lives, since our inception here across the county. So we really appreciate you. We appreciate all the support. Thank you to Mayor Weiss for being able to attend, with last-minute notice, our event the other day, and Commissioner Sachs for the great support along the way as well. We appreciate you, Commissioner Marino, and we look forward on working with all the new commissioners. A special welcome to the newest Commissioner Barnett as well, and we thank Commissioner Kerner for his service. And we really appreciate all of you. So thank you. Our mission is to really save lives across the county, all lives. We're a Jewish organization. It's a faith-based organization, but we accept people from all faiths, and we serve people of all faiths. So thank you.
And so how should we give you your awards? And would you be available after the meeting to take a picture?
You can, I think Todd can take them.
That's it for cards,
Thank you
Mayor.
again.
We have some.
I have, all of these are non-speaking cards.
All right, so Commissioner Sachs has made a motion to receive and file those.
Thank you. I'll second.
All right. Commissioner Baxter, you recognize.
So the original goal, and just to let you know, I've heard these stories prior to today, a public hearing, and it never gets any easier. I ideally would have liked to do a zoning in progress today, but we found out that wasn't a legal option. A legal option for this board would be to undo the 2019 ordinance. I found what was taken out that has caused most of these problems, not all of them. And I would like to move to put it back to the way it was and then work through to give them some immediate relief, but then work through together with my fellow board members on something that makes more sense holistically. We just don't have any other way for a more immediate relief for them. But I do understand that the way it was obviously had its own problems. I would just like, with the new board, so I would like to move to put back what was taken out of the previous wording. If you'd like, I can read it exactly to you.
I can see our county attorney has a comment.
The only comment is that because it's in our code, we have to do that by ordinance.
Okay.
So that will, your request would be for them to bring it back for the January 24th
No,
meeting.
I guess what I'm asking is the wording that was taken out from that already existed in our code that has lines through it.
Right.
To re-implement that until we can work through a new process.
We can.
That better suits everyone.
We can't do that without doing an ordinance.
An ordinance, okay.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, I think Commissioner, let me get to Commissioner Woodward because I know she's got a time constraint.
Yes, thank you. I must say I'm actually really sad. Everyone left right after, and we weren't able to address a lot of this to them, so hopefully maybe they'll hear this later. I would like to say I do believe procedurally we can't do this without having like public. We have to give notice. We have to
We have to bring it back we can give direction as a board to bring it back as an ordinance according to.
So if I could just say, this is not the first time I've heard this either. I started hearing some of this last summer. I've heard some of these stories a few times. It never gets easier to hear. Part of why I ran in the first place was because I know that government can be overwhelming for citizens. It can be overwhelming sitting up here. And we live in a world that's gray. There's a lot of nuance to all of this. And part of the problem that I think we face as a board on a regular basis is trying to find solutions for big picture items. And the big picture is a lot of individuals in here. And that's part of what we have to deal with as a board. And I would like to, if we can move forward with the workshop, to have some sort of discussions on this, because I do believe it's important that we allow these people to earn the living that they're doing and not be the reason that any business goes under. Again, there's nuance, there's gray area that we have to deal with. There's considerations that have to be made with any of this. And it's not going to be a quick solution. I mean, we didn't get here overnight, and it won't be fixed overnight, but I do believe we need to address it. We have procedures that we have to follow. I know that the request for a moratorium, I believe, is not even a real option. There are other options, but I do also believe, and I'm trusting everyone that spoke here today, that they do want to operate legally, and I would like to find a path forward to be in compliance and be able just to go about their lives and earn their living, support their families, and be good neighbors. I think that's what we all want to do when it comes down to it. I know politics can get in the way of a lot of this, but we all choose to live here together. And I would hope that we can help facilitate some of these neighborhoods to be able to do this and to allow people to thrive and be good citizens. So I'm sorry, I do have to step out. I just wanted to put that out there. I know this probably will be coming back to us, but please know, if you spoke, you were heard. You were heard by, I don't want to speak for everyone, but you were heard by me. And it's not the first time, and hopefully the stories start to improve, because we do want to find a way for people to be able to operate their businesses and earn a living and be good members of the society that we all want to be a part of. So thank you for that, and with that I have to step away, but thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Woodward. County Attorney, you recognize.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that if the board wanted to remove that 2019 amendment, it would give direction to staff to come back at the next meeting with a first reading ordinance.
All right, Commissioner Sachs.
I'm sorry, I need to clarify on that. This is Lisa Mara, Zoning Director. We can't come back without having to revise the land development regulations. We have to go to a committee called LDRAB first. You could request that we initiate an amendment to the code, and it follows the standard channels, and we will go to we'll come back first. The agenda item will be permission to advertise. Second agenda item will be first reading, and then there will be a third reading, and somewhere along the line we have to go to the LDRAB committee. So we can't come back on our next meeting with an ordinance. There's advertising requirements and hearing requirements.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sachs, you recognize.
Well, I think we heard a lot today, and I think we heard from the public that really spoke from your hearts. And I am concerned not just that we revise and review and direct staff on these ordinances, but I'd like to see either an investigation or a workshop on what's going on in our communities. I don't like the sound of what I heard today. I know I'm a former prosecutor, and I think that not only do we need to direct staff to review our ordinances, but we need to review a little bit about what's been going on in the community. Government needs to serve the people fairly, equitably, and there have been allegations made, and I think we need to look into them. So with that, Madam Administrator, what I bring this to you, either an investigation or a workshop, but I think we need to have the people here who direct these types of inspections under the county name to really hear what they have to say and investigate what's been going on in our western communities.
I have already asked some questions, just hearing what I heard. I will, under HR, my people that investigate, will be working with our code people. I think we need to go through this. A lot of things are very emotional, and so I can tell you that we will look into it. We'll make sure that we follow through, and I will look at some of the cards. I've made some notes, but we need to make sure that we're looking at everything. There is no one person that just dictates what we do with code enforcement. We've got a code, and that code is what gives us the authority to go do what we're supposed to be doing in our professional way, okay? And so if the code says that and we get complaints, we have to investigate those complaints. We can't ignore them. And so that is part of the issue. So if this board is going to make adjustments, then that will make adjustments on when someone calls, whether that's a legitimate complaint or not. If it's not, then we tell them it's not. For bona fide ag, if that property is under bona fide ag, we tell the complainant that's bona fide ag. We have no control over it. That's a state requirement. Okay? If it's bona fide ag. If it is not bona fide ag and the code does not allow it, then yes, we have to address it. But if this board wants to do something different, which I just heard you tell me to go back to 2019 code, that's what we're going to do, take the process. Now, it's my understanding, if I remember correctly, we've been through the landscape thing twice. So, again, we'll go back through that. But as far as staff is concerned, I will address those. I will look into those issues.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate that. What I would like to do is, the law is one thing, the ordinances are one thing. Application should not be anything other than fair and equitable. And I would request, and I know you're very good at this, I would request that we do look at the law. I'd like to look at the application of how we have been addressing the enforcement of these codes to this community, especially. And maybe it's good that I say this because this is not my district, but in respect to you, Commissioner Baxter, I need to know that the application of this ordinance, whether this ordinance is going to stay or not, but the application of this ordinance has been fair and equitable. With that in mind, can we have a date certain so that we would be able to make a report as to how we have, as a county government, reviewed the application of this ordinance? Ms. Baker?
When you refer to applications, are you talking how it's being implemented and enforced?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I did hear some people were fined 50, some people were fined XXX, right? So with our code enforcement and the fines, they can be different. If it is a life safety issue, those fines are much higher. If it is a nominal type issue, that's one thing. If you've gone through a special magistrate, that fine has been assessed, and you still totally ignore it and there's another issue, then it may be more. So there is a variety of reasons. So we can definitely come back and report that to you. I will ask the board to give me the opportunity to address the personnel part of this. And then we will ensure that things are done properly, and it may require more training. We've had a number of officers retire. We've got more new officers in, and we may need, I think we will do some additional training just to make sure everybody understands what is being expected.
I think that's very important for trust in the government. You know, and I think it's important that we have this transparent. So after you review that, I'd like to have a date certain if we could from, I'm actually asking the board if we could have a date certain so we could have a report back so that the folks who gave up their time today to tell us their grievances will hear from us what we have done as a result. Because I know that our code enforcement officers work very hard, and I've seen them in my ag district. But I don't like the sound of inequitable application, and I want to make sure that we have done everything that we can. So if we could, as a board, if we could all talk about this and get a date certain so that we could have a written report and a report to the people whose complaints we heard today, so they know that we have applied this ordinance in a fair and equitable way to every, whether a trucker or residential in a residential area, that we've been fair and equitable.
I'm going to look at Whitney because I know she's the deputy along with Patrick.
If I could, Commissioners, certainly you've got a bunch of hearings coming up with planning and zoning functions over the next couple months. I would think to prepare a document like this, and I think I'd like code enforcement to go back and take a look at what citations that have been done and an understanding that basis for it. We would need at least a month to put that kind of information together. So with the board's indulgence, I would look to be able to come back to you, let's say at the February BCC zoning meeting, to talk about that specific aspect of it.
Is that enough time?
I was thinking March. I was thinking March. You've got a lot of bracket.
We'll take it.
No. I want this to be done right. I mean, look. We have how many? Commissioner Marino had a stack of cards, and every one of those persons gave up their day today. They brought their kids today. They have something to say. So I wanted to, if I could, please, respectfully, if we could do this very well and make sure that every code enforcement has been done, in the right way, equitably, with all due process to everybody, so that we come back with a report to your district that says, government is here, we hear you, we've heard these complaints, and this is either we need more people, we need more technology, or those who have not been, doing their job professionally will be doing their job professionally. I don't mind March, to tell you the truth, so that it's done.
And this will be just the application, how it's being enforced.
Correct.
It is not, I'm going to separate the two.
Absolutely.
It is not the code itself, because that's a whole nother step that we've got to go through. But this particular one, I've already asked for some of that information, but we can go back through our system, pull up the violations, and follow every single step in every single case. That will take a little time along with all the other stuff we got going on. But if you give me to March, that's perfect. That's ample time.
Mayor, may I be recognized, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any further directions you need from the board to get the other part of this started as soon as possible?
Did want to ask one question related to the point on just the enforcement activities themselves and the understanding. You had two very distinct issues being spoken about today. One dealt with the landscape services issue, separate and distinct from the commercial vehicle parking issue. And I want to make sure that the board direction to us is very clear. I've heard on the commercial vehicle piece of it as we talk about citations that have been done. And I want to make sure that direction is clear. That is the only part that we'll be addressing. It's not on the landscape services piece of it. Some of you are here will remember we've done 5 or 6 years of landscape services changes through many, many years. There was a significant code enforcement activity in some areas on that, absolutely. But those codes have been changed, et cetera. So A, wanted to clarify that we're dealing with that point, and then
And I just want to say, I do appreciate staff's efforts in that we are a new commission up here.
understand. Yep.
And I would like just to help our community, and I think maybe previous commission didn't even realize what it was, what would be happening as a result. So this gives us an opportunity to correct an error.
So, and then Commissioner, your question was about the commercial vehicle piece of it. If the board did want us, notwithstanding direction that we understand you have now on restoring, going through the appropriate steps to restore to the 2019 code,
Well, not, excuse me, that was hopefully trying to do like an interim to get to where we need to be. That wasn't the end goal. The end goal is to take a more,
and
a new look at it.
if I could, what I'd say as part of that, if at the March workshop too, we could come back with a little broader discussion of where you might want to offer more formal direction on addressing the commercial vehicle piece of it. How we might apply it all residential zoning districts where it sits now, maybe in specific zoning districts, explain some measure of the ramifications, spend a little more time to do it a little more thoughtfully and give us that opportunity. So if the board wanted to give us that direction, we could come back in March and address both those points.
I would love to, without objection.
Yes, I would like to speak.
It's Commissioner Marino, you're next.
Thank you. It has been a long day, and I am going to see if I can figure out what we just did. So I made some notes, and I think there's more than just two items. One is we really need to know what is bona fide ag. Okay? And we need to know by statute what is bona fide ag. Next, we had the landscape issue. Next, we had the commercial and recreational vehicle issue. We also had code violation and implementation of those code violations and collection and fees, moratoriums, and the 2019 code. So that's a large, that's a lot of stuff. And I think we need to have, because it's so many different things, and we're giving ourselves 2 months to figure this out. I want to make sure that in 2 months, we're not like halfway through what we need to be doing. So if staff feels that 2 months is enough time to accomplish these 6 things, I'm okay with that. If you feel there's some things that be accomplished in a month, some things in 2 months, some things in 3 months, I don't think we need a process that just lumps all of this stuff together and says, oh, in 2 months we're gonna fix it all. Because it's taken us, we've been a county for a long, long time, and a lot of these codes have been in place for a long, long time. I don't think we can undo this stuff in 2 months without really doing due diligence. And we have a lot of people that spent a lot of time here today. We need to make sure that what we do, how we do the process, and process means bureaucracy, but how we do it is clear, concise, and complete. Wow, the 3 C's. But we can't just rush it and hope that we come up with the right answer. We really need to do this properly with the right perspective, with as much information as possible. So in 2 months, if you come back to us and say, we've done items 1, 2, 3, and 7. Well, sorry, there was only 6 here. 1, 2, 3, and 6. I'm okay with that. I don't want you to come and say, we've half done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Did I just make sense?
Understand the point, Commissioner, and for the board's benefit as well, in March, when we came back for discussion, seeking direction, that would have been following your direction. We would then set forth the process and the timing and things of that sort as well. We would be looking to you, not with all the final answers, you would tell us where you're looking to go down the road. Commissioner, I would also say that if we get to a point working with zoning and code and others, and we get to a point that we might have bitten off too much, I will be happy to communicate that with the board and tell you what we can do and what we can't do. But I think we have got that interim step coming up in March that get that part going and then have further discussions about timing based on board direction.
I think it's important because we don't want to bite off more than we can chew and then, and then fail. We don't want to fail. We want to make sure that there's a path forward that we can legally implement.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Marino. To weigh in a bit on this, I think a lot of the points that people that have already been mentioned, but I also want to make sure that there's also a lot of voices that were not in this room today, and that they have an opportunity to be heard. So as you're going about your plans and looking to think about how do we involve the impacted communities. So the folks that, and I do appreciate, first off, thank you to the people that were here today and took their time to be here, because we work during business hours, and no, you took you away from your work. But a lot of people can't get away from work. And so I want to make sure that they're included. And this is, I mean, I didn't think I'd be saying this, being a senior member now of this commission, but I've got the gray hair to prove it. Living in a diverse community like we do, with very diverse tastes and ideas and so forth, it does, and I thought Commissioner Woodward's comments were very, very telling, in the sense that of understanding that we have a lot of different things going on. Some things in some communities are acceptable, some things in some communities are not acceptable, but figuring out how we all live together and coexist. But one of the things I'm always very concerned about is the unintended consequences of actions that we take, and try and I think that's what a lot of times slows us down as we start to go through these arguments amongst not only ourselves, but ideas that the public or the industry shares with us, and trying to help craft rules and ordinances that fulfill as many, as many desires as we can. But we can't be everything to everybody all the time. So with that, let's see, I think Commissioner Baxter, and then we'll go to Commissioner Sacks.
I also would like to do this properly and not have any problems, but I would like to keep staff to keep in mind that there are people currently suffering and racking up fines as we go through this process. So time, as much as we need to do it properly, is of the essence for them, because a zoning in progress was not possible today.
Commissioner Sacks, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Administrator
Maria's
Baker?
good.
Wait, did the administrator have something to say?
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I just wanted to highlight the fact that our process that we go through, and I've been with the county a little over 35 years, and I have never seen any board foreclose on someone's property that's homesteaded. It's against the law. I don't think we could do it anyway. So as we go through this process, we're conscious that people are racking up fines. We are. We're going to go through that process when we look at the various cases to see what's going on and what's being fined. But we're not going to put anybody out of their home. We're not going to do that. Do we want them to come into compliance? Yes, we do. And so we'll be working through that process. But I want to ensure anyone that staff will not be making any recommendations that is going to impact someone's home, period. Because the law does not allow, if this is homesteaded, we can't foreclose on it in any way with fines. But this board has never foreclosed on a lien when it comes to that. We're going to work through this process, but I don't want people losing sleep at night thinking the big bad government is going to come in and throw them out of their homes. We're working on this process. This board has given us direction, so we will keep that in mind. But we will work that process through.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Commissioner Baxter?
aside from being thrown out of their home, is there anything else other than the fines racking up, which we can address at a later meeting? Is there any other repercussions that the county is currently taking against them for not being in compliance?
They just get
No,
fined.
no, we're trying to work with them to help them gain compliance. So if anything, and there's always the opportunity for them after the fact to have those fines reduced in a different process. But yeah, so we're not, definitely not. Compliance is the key.
But we would ask that we all be good neighbors and try to work with our neighbors, because most of the time, the only reason we ever go in for a violation is because we got a complaint from a neighbor. And so I know sometimes neighbors are not neighborly, but if we could ask our truckers as well as others to work with us on this so that they're not flagrant in this violation, because they are in violation according to the existing code. And so we need to just kind of work this thing through. So we would need cooperation from all parties.
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Okay, thank you. I think these points are well taken. The most important thing to settle first is if people are suffering because of code violations. I think that's something that needs to be addressed as soon as we can, Madam Administrator. The other issues of changing code, it's interesting that we have ag butting up against commercial and retail. Sounds to me a little bit like the ag reserve. And if Ramsey was here, we've had many conversations about where do we put landscapers? Where do we put them? 441, the other side. We need landscape contractors. Where do we put them? And they need to survive as well. So that's the second part. So I would suggest respectfully that we could maybe look at first helping the folks who are up against code violations. I've heard words that I don't want to hear, like, desperation of homeowners. We need to address that maybe as soon as we can, and we can do that under the auspices of the county administration and code enforcement to deal directly with the folks, and we have a good commissioner here from that district. The second issue may be coming up in the March Ag Reserve Workshop as well. What is ag? Where do we put the landscape contractors? We have a county that's busting out of our britches here. And we got to be able to get people, we got to be able to have space for everybody to live and work, make a living, and be happy and be play. So that may be an issue that we can address, and poor Lisa here, address in our workshop on the Ag Reserve as we begin to look at ag. What is ag? Where do we put the residential? And where on the heck do we put our good landscape contractors? So a suggestion is if we could immediately, or as soon as reasonably possible, look at these code violations to give relief to the people who have them, and that can be done within the auspices of HR, code enforcement, our administrator, and the commissioner. And then second, to look at a later date, and maybe part of it with the Ag Reserve Workshop in late March, to look at what's ag and what can we propose to live alongside of ag peacefully. Would that be okay, Madam Administrator, if we?
And I do want to be clear on one point, Vice Mayor. Again, back into that discussion about initial relief. We can begin to respond to that once we have that direction from you. Post-March, when we know where you want to go with a code, with potential code changes. Step two, we can start to work our way into that. We can lay out timeframes for you of when those changes would be occurring. So then we could all have those dates out there. It might not precipitate the need for anything else to be addressed when we discuss those timeframes with you. But to the Vice Mayor's point, the very most important piece is giving us that direction, what you want to see changed in the code in March.
Do we need to try to give direction without objection again?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to be clear. Any life, safety, or health issues, those things are not, as far as I'm concerned, they are not on the table. For any
No,
If
understand,
somebody-
Mayor,
if
yes.
somebody- If something happens that might harm somebody else, I think we need to be very careful.
Let me make sure we're clear. I don't believe legally we have the authority to not fine. I mean, if people are in violation, we'll follow our process. We have to. When I talked about looking at the actual infractions, the violations that, we're going to look at those properties. We're going back through our files. I'm going to sit with staff to make sure that we're applying it fairly across the board. If we find that we haven't, then we will work with legal and make the appropriate adjustments. If people violate the code that you currently have in place, we have to address that. We have to address that until you change the code, and then it's no longer a violation of the code. But we've got to address it. But again, I want to reiterate to the people that were in the audience today, it has not been this board's policy to foreclose on property. And if it is homesteaded property, we don't foreclose on it anyway.
Thank you. Our attorney has a comment.
Just to clarify that we will be looking at what options are available to the board to bring to you that might assist with the fines on a temporary basis, but we need to do a little bit of research.
Thank you. Right. All right, I think we're clear on what we're doing, and so at this point, Commissioner Marino, you recognize.
One thing that didn't get done earlier was that Mayor Weiss would like, on behalf of Mayor Weiss, I would like to ask for approval of an off-site proclamation declaring January 2023 as Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month. Thank you.
We have a motion by Commissioner Marino, second by Commissioner Baxter. All in favor, all opposed, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, with that, Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized again.
So are we good with direction? Because we still haven't said without objection and everyone agreed, we just kept asking questions.
I don't think we
So
have to
does
say that.
staff-
I think we just, they got it.
Just making sure that we're
Think
good
we're good.
today. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Good without objection. Okay. All right. Very good. Is there anything else for the good of the order? If not, this meeting is adjourned.